Alright, come on in, guys. Come on in, guys. Stay a little warmer. Alright, ready to go?
When it started, which way was it? It went like that. Yeah, when he moved it. Yeah, so we're fine right now. Yeah, it looks good.
If I'm
And
too
you can
close,
see
just
everyone.
let me know.
No, you're fine.
I mean,
Hello, sir. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Let me know when you're ready. You guys ready? All right. Well, listen. Today's a good day. We're back on the Belsky Family Farm. It's great to be with my friend Chris and his family. This is not our first visit to this farm or to the region for sure. Last time I was out here, we were talking with the guys from RNG Produce who were here, and Jason and others about what we could do to really help our family farms here in the Blackbird and really everywhere, but especially in my part of the world. And what we came up with was the simplest, best thing that will be a shot in the arm to our local farmers, and that is debt relief. I'm happy to announce that my legislation, the Relief for Small Farmers Act, has been included in the Build Back Better package that has cleared the House and is about to clear the Senate. And when that becomes law, it will create an extraordinary opportunity for our local farmers to get ahead. It will provide $150,000 of debt relief to small farmers. That will cover 98% of the farmers with direct loans in New York State. That's huge. That is the biggest thing that's going to happen to our family farmers in a while. Biggest good thing that's going to happen to our family farmers in a while. And I'm proud to say that it will also apply all over the country. There's $10 billion for debt relief for farmers in this legislation. So if you have a direct loan through the FSA, one of three types, you will qualify for this direct relief. Now, if you've got a guaranteed loan, there's also $1 billion in the bill to help you manage that debt as well. But this is really directed at folks who've got those direct FSA loans. And I was just talking to some of these guys, and the question is who has these loans? And the answer was, well, pretty much everybody. And it's not something people like to talk about. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I can tell you right now, well, I'll let them tell you what it'll mean to get a little help, get ahead for once in a while. And our farmers have been through a lot. They've been through some bad weather going back to Lee and Irene. Remember that? About 9 years ago. That was devastating to this region. And we went through tough economic times, and you know, these guys are at a scale where they're always fighting an uphill battle against bigger producers with deeper pockets. And there's a lot of things that make it tough to run a family farm these days because it's a business. It's not just a way of life, although it's a great way of life. It's a business, and I hear about it all the time. And then, of course, the pandemic, which created all kinds of challenges for our farmers. Disruption in the markets, disruption in the way they have to work and stay safe, keep their families safe. But we're getting through it. And with all the help that's going to other people in this economy, I just want to make sure something happened to our farmers. And I'm just so excited that we were able to pull this together. And I'm proud to stand here with my friend, Chris Pavelski, who can tell you better than I can what this kind of debt relief, $150,000 will mean for our family farms here in the Blackbird and throughout New York and all over America. Chris Pavelski.
Well, Congressman Maloney, on behalf of small family farmers across the country and certainly locally, I'd like to take a moment just to thank you personally. I have to say that when I first started working on this proposal, obviously the first office I called was Congressman Maloney's office. His staff secured some meetings for me down on Capitol Hill a couple of years ago that were key for it. And I can still remember meeting your legislative director at the time, Molly Carey, who was like, this is an incredible idea, and she was all over it. And she worked very closely, I know, with Senator Gillibrand's office on the Senate side. And I've been doing this kind of stuff, public policy work, for the last about 25 years or so. And I have to say that this is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. The fact that it went from idea to proposal to legislative language to introduced bill to being attached to a measure like this so quickly is just simply amazing. And it's a lot of credit to Congressman Maloney for his abilities. I mean, people can come up with all the ideas in the world, but if you don't have someone in the position that they need to be in this case here, our congressional rep, who, number one, has to have the ability to know how to get things done, and number two, has to have the desire to get things done, you're not going to go anywhere. And I can say that Congressman Maloney, Sean has both those things, and it makes a huge difference. And he's right. I mean, the debt over us, personally, in my case, has been. It's why I don't sleep well at night. So it's going to help me sleep a little bit better without taking Ambien. But it really, it's going to be a huge game changer in the sense of being able to do more as we transition our farm to growing mixed greens and fruits and the like, be able to kind of expand and be able to afford to make adjustments and changes. But I have to say that it really is an incredible achievement on the Congressman's part, and it's just great to see how he works so well with the other side, on the Senate side, and it's just been very gratifying. And the kind of policy work that I do, this makes it all worthwhile. And again, to have someone there, the primary thing is you have to care. And like you said, this is going to help. I think CRS said, Special Research Services, did a look into. It's going to help, I think, 60,000 small family farms across the country. And I talk to a lot of them on social media, and they are just so relieved and appreciative of this. So, on behalf of my family, it's my thank you.
Thanks, my friend. And how many folks? This question I'll get to here. How many folks do you think in the Blackbird bill?
Again, like you said, it's not public information, but I would imagine at least probably a dozen or so at least operations. Which there's not many operations left in Blackbird, so it's going to be a significant portion of it.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I should have mentioned. I appreciate that, Chris. And we have some other folks up here. I should have recognized Jason Taub, who's the president of the Orange County Farm Bureau, and from Wagon Wheel Farm, Kyle Dendusky, Lucy Joy, Sharon Soons. I see Sharon. And I know Sharon Soons, been out there many times. Chris and Eve, of course, who are our hosts today. Frank Taraki, Hugh Farish, who's going to join us in a minute. Pastor Farish. John Lupinski, Ray and Gary, I mentioned Glazewski, hope I got that name right. Amanda Vitarius, John and David Madura, Kristen Brown, and so many other friends. I saw Mark Adams is here, and others who served alongside me for years on my farm advisory board and helped me put together a bunch of ideas for the Blackbird, but this is the best one we've had yet. I want to welcome Hugh Farish, Pastor Farish, up to say a couple of words. Thanks, sir.
Good morning, everybody.
Now he's a pastor, so you may want to get comfortable.
That's right. Feel comfortable. I have a blessing for you. Yeah, I have to watch the politicians. But anyway, Mr. Maloney, Congressman Maloney, we're proud of what you have done for us up here, being a small dirt farmer up here in Goshen. People does not realize that starting, you always need a little bit push. You need someone to get you over the hump. And due to the fact that the weather has play a big part in it, and us growing our crops and everything, and then especially with the church, we grow to give. And when you're giving and you lose on the other side, then you lose on both sides. So this will help us and will help our church. And I know the congregation will be glad to know that we have already applied for a loan, and this will be debt-free for us. And we've been trying to help here in Goshen to feed families wherever we can. And due to the fact that we have someone who's our frontline runner, we always need someone up front that knows the way. And we are behind you. You carrying the ball, and we're going to block for you. And we thank you for it. And our brother Chris, he always informed me of all the good things that is happening around here in Goshen. And that's why I'm here today to support you. And hope that I see you on TV a lot because I'm from down in Westchester County. But I haven't had a chance to meet you here. But you're doing a good job. And I'm going to remind the people when we get back what you have done for us. And everything is highly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Mr. Ferris. So again, if you've got one of three types of USDA loans, direct farm operating loans, direct farm ownership loans, and emergency loans, are you going to qualify for $150,000 of debt relief? That's huge. And if you are economically distressed, and we're happy to walk you through what that means, you may qualify for full debt relief, which is extraordinary and will really make a huge difference in the lives of some folks who've been really struggling. And even if you've just got a guaranteed loan, there's $1 billion in this legislation to help you manage through that. So happy to take any questions. Chris.
Maximum debt,
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. And you may have heard me say that. My original legislation had a higher threshold. It was lowered to 150, but the point was to cover more people. So that's an important clarification. But there is full debt relief available for folks who are considered economically distressed, and we can get you the information on that without any limit. So while it is smaller for most folks, it is complete debt relief for those who need it most. But I think you find that most folks around here, $150,000 is a meaningful shot. Other questions?
I have an off-topic question, so maybe if you want to ask some of the other reporters first and then
sure.
get back to me.
Any other
Thank you.
on topic?
And they have to stay in farming business, they have to stay in business?
That's a good question. I don't know that there's a restriction on it. I'd have to get back to them. I think that because this is not what we would call under the regs forgiveness, but relief, there's actually not those types of restrictions. Sometimes when there's debt forgiveness, there are things that you can't reapply for a loan and other limitations. This is not that. This is relief. It should just be straight debt relief, but let me get back to you on that. I'm not sure about the answer to the question.
the original bill said you had to continue farming for those 2 years.
Yeah, again, I don't know that that's in the final language, so let me check. But fair question. But I think you find that most of these guys are not looking to get out of their business; they're just trying to make it work. And of course, we've done a lot of work to try to help kids get on the farm, right? And what we found a lot is that it's just hard for kids to take over the family farm because of all the economic pressures, some of their own student debt, other cost of land. It's hard for young farmers to get going, and this is part of the idea is to make it work again for lots of our family farmers. But that's good.
Can you talk a little bit about the prospects of the film incentives? And,
They're great.
And
I wouldn't be out here talking about it if they
this
weren't great.
provision specifically.
Yeah, this provision is going to survive in the legislation that gets out of the Senate. If it doesn't, you're going to hear me scream. But it is what we have done, which is unusual, is that we have really negotiated out, I would say, 90% of the legislation with the Senate, and the areas where there is still disagreement do not include this. So, for example, we included paid family medical leave in the House bill, something I support, be a big deal for folks. That may not survive in the Senate, depending on what Senator Manchin wants to do. There's other issues like that where we know we've got a difference of opinion, but we have narrowed that category to a very small number of things, which is why I'm very optimistic you're going to see this legislation pass the Senate with these provisions included. And let's remember, there's a lot of economically distressed family farms in West Virginia too. This doesn't just apply here; it applies everywhere, all over the country. But it should help more than 1,000 farmers here in New York, is the estimate we have from USDA. There should be 1,000 farmers here in New York who receive this assistance. A lot of them right here in the Black area, Orange County.
I just thought of this, but you don't by chance have a ballpark for number for how many farmers are going to receive more than that or get full debt forgiveness?
Right now, what we have is we have estimates of that, and there's certain classifications for what economically distressed means. So it would require somebody to seek that assistance, and so no, it's difficult to estimate that. But let me see what we can get you on that, if we can get some ballpark number. But when we say 98% of farmers with these loans will be eligible for full or partial debt relief, that's where that's coming from, and we think that's 1,000 farmers here in New York.
It really is targeted to people who are on a small level too. In the past, most of your assistance will go to larger operations. During the Trump administration, people may be familiar with, he had taken money from the Commodity Credit Corporation, the CCC, and had dispersed it to people who were affected by his trade policies. and the bulk of that money, 90-some percent, went to the top operators in the country. Even the PPP that was part of the CARES Act, even that, what farms that did get that, in many cases, it was a larger operations. What's nice about this is really targeted, and it's been from the get-go when it was first proposed by the Congressman and Senator Gilbert on the Senate side for smaller operations. And again, it's not something you normally see, so it's incredibly gratifying to see that.
That's a great point, and that definitely, you're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, was $30 billion that went to mitigate the effects of the tariffs. But it went to folks who are already doing very well. This is $10 billion, and it's going to the families in need.
You know, eligibility criteria is the same to as it was with the bill for 2000.
There's no income limitation, I believe, in the final language. So it'll be available for everybody, but it's only going to be really meaningful for smaller farms. So in that regard, it's still directed to the guys.
And when will they get it?
Well, we've got to pass the legislation, and then USDA has to roll out the program. So, but we'll be banging on them to make it happen as fast as possible.
So immediately after?
There shouldn't be any real bureaucracy or any complication, because it's a blanket relief for anyone who has any one of 3 types of FSA loans through USDA. That's a lot of acronyms. The Farm Service Agency through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So essentially, it's just gotta work through that process. But we're going to be all over that. Trust me. As soon as we get it signed into law, which should be before the holidays, for New Year's. Great. Off topic.
Thank you so
What do
much.
got for me, Blaze?
Was hoping you could comment and respond on the gun violence crisis in the city of Newburgh. We had it confirmed this morning that there's now a 7th shooting in 7 days. As you're aware, there were several teens that were injured last week by their classmates. If you can, please respond to that, and also possibly respond to criticism that your office hasn't immediately responded to community concerns in recent days.
Right. Well, it's completely unacceptable, and we have to hit it with everything we've got. I'm proud that I've, from the day I got elected, brought more than $7 million to first responders, public safety money for cops, for the Department of Justice grants, public safety officers in Newburgh and elsewhere. I think about half of that money has been dispersed right here in Orange County. We actually secured the funding in 2016, the initial funding for the ShotSpotter technology that actually pinpointed those shootings, because that technology is now a key part of the solution. So we have been in this fight from day one. I was handing out turkeys, down near the Armory on Saturday. A guy who works for me was doing the same thing yesterday and heard gunshots. So you're not hearing from anybody that this is not a problem, or that it's not a big deal. It's a problem, and it's a big deal. We've got to be serious about crime in our communities, but we can also walk and chew gum at the same time. We continue to have a real need for common sense reforms, I believe, in the criminal justice system in this country, but not at the expense of public safety. We need to keep streets safe, and the rise of gun violence in Newburgh is going to require a number of strategies that are community-based, that involve better resourcing our police and our first responders, but also that use proven programs for violence reduction and for youth intervention and all the things that give kids more opportunities to have a good life, to look forward to the future and not engage in this kind of pathological behavior. But I have zero tolerance for it, and it's got to stop.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you being out here. Good day.